Hello, Tigers. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We've got a great show for you, and the Extra Point starts right now. And on the panel tonight, we have Tom, Thomas, Josh, and Matthew. So if you've been paying attention at all to sports this weekend, then you know how crazy this college football season, the NFL, everything's been. Like we mentioned before last week, just everything's starting to come to a head with all the sports. College football, NFL getting into full swing. The baseball playoffs are just beginning. NBA is only a few weeks away. So we're going to jump right in now with the NFL. And there's a lot of surprise undefeated teams out there right now. A lot of teams that, you know, if you said, hey, this team was going to be undefeated a few weeks in, somebody would have looked at you like you were stupid. But here we are. We've got three teams that are undefeated. The Eagles, Vikings, and Broncos, the only undefeated teams left. All of whom are kind of surprising undefeated teams at this point. The Eagles, a team that a lot of people were picking to finish dead last in the NFC East. A quarterback situation that a lot of people thought was kind of shaky. Speaking of a shaky quarterback situation, the Broncos didn't even know who their starting quarterback was until a little bit before the season started. A lot of questions surrounding Trevor Siemian, but here we are. And the Vikings with Teddy Bridgewater going down and then Adrian Peterson, but somehow they're managing to win with Sam Bradford. So what do you guys think? Which of these three undefeated teams that remain is the most surprising?
I mean, I think we can basically agree. In terms of most surprising, I think it's the Eagles. Like we all know, all of us laughed at the fact of them even having a chance in the putrid NFC East. And here they are, 3-0, surprising everybody except for maybe Tom over there.
I mean, I'm an Eagles fan. I'm still surprised.
Yeah. I don't think nobody picked that. So the Vikings maybe a little bit, but I had a feeling the Vikings would still be all right because they had a game manager as a quarterback, and their offensive line is doing very well with McKinnon and Asiata still giving them room to run, and their defense is obviously one of the best in the NFL. So I think the Eagles are the most surprising.
This is kind of a hard question for me. I'm going to go with the Vikings, though, because you have let's list them out, please. Adrian Peterson, Teddy Bridgewater.
Matt Khalil, the left tackle.
Oh, yeah.
Down.
They have so many injuries. It's just 4 games. They're 4-0, right? 4-0, yes. So, but they had major injuries at the quarterback, their star running back, and you wouldn't expect them to even be 2-2 right now.
Exactly.
But they are, so that's very surprising, but their defense is very solid. So I definitely think that they have the best chance to continue. The Eagles surprised me too, because I didn't think Carson Wentz was going to do this well. He's doing
I didn't think he was going to throw all over the Steelers, but he did.
He's probably going to plateau sooner or later.
Definitely. People are going to game plan. They're giving him a pretty simple offense because he's a rookie quarterback. So I think eventually the defensive coordinators will adjust to that, and the Eagles will fall off a little bit. But they're 3-0. They still have a very good chance to contend for this division. Not really any. I don't think they'll get past maybe the first round of the wild card, but they can make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But it's a good foundation to build upon. And
we're definitely still building.
Oh, yeah.
And then
but this is a great start to that process.
It definitely is, yeah.
Then the Broncos is probably the least surprising out of these guys.
I agree.
Honestly.
I agree.
Yeah.
They have a quarterback issue, but Peyton Manning didn't play that well last year. So, I mean, quarterbacks aren't really an issue for the Broncos. They're used to it at this point. But, I'm definitely going with the Vikings. That's the most surprising.
I got to agree. I don't see anybody else other than the Vikings that you could go with.
The Eagles?
I'm going to come out and say Sam Bradford is having MVP-type numbers. 719 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. I think he's coming out.
MVP numbers. He's got an elite defense. I don't know. He's not a game manager.
I don't think he's a game manager. I think he's a
for
good quarterback.
Bradford is that he's lasted 3 games without
Exactly.
breaking his knee off.
He always gets injured every season.
That's what I'm surprised.
But finally, this
the
is the
most
season
by.
he finally does something. The Vikings are really good, so I'm gonna go with him.
I mean, even as an Eagles fan, I'm most surprised by the Eagles. I mean, the Broncos and Vikings have great defenses, and who would have thought that the Eagles' defense would have played that well, especially against the Steelers? I mean, yeah, Antonio Brown still got over 100 receiving yards, but
Yes, he
they
should.
didn't even allow a touchdown to what I think is probably one of the better offenses in the league. And, I mean, the Eagles they've always had a great defensive line, but their secondary has always been questionable, and to not even allow a touchdown is pretty
That's
surprising.
great. Really good.
So, but the Vikings as well, because, you know, they lost almost like their entire attacking.
Exactly.
Like,
all their weapons on offense.
Yeah, all their offensive weapons are gone, but you know, you pick up the pieces and then keep playing.
Look what you can do.
They show they can do what they need to like week in, week out. But the Broncos, their only question was who's going to play quarterback.
They have such a great
And it
defense.
didn't even matter that
it didn't
much.
really matter that much.
Yeah, I mean, Simeon's playing better than Peyton and Osweiler probably last year.
Honestly, he is.
And also, Paxton Lynch didn't look too bad in the
Yeah.
little bit
Yeah.
he played.
Yeah, so if worst case scenario, you know,
I'm not very
Simeon goes
surprised.
down.
I'm not.
I'm not
Paxton
surprised by
will
the
do enough.
Broncos. Will they stay undefeated? I don't think so.
I don't
no,
think we're going to
no.
see an undefeated
Some
team this year.
team
No,
is
I
gonna
don't agree.
sneak.
Yeah.
Some team's gonna sneak up on
I
them.
mean, we haven't had an undefeated team since 2008 when the Patriots.
Closest we had was the Panthers last year.
Yeah.
No.
So
I mean, you can't expect you can't expect that. So.
All right, well, let's move on now with a little bit more NFL topic. Odell Beckham Jr., arguably one of the better receivers in the league, last night on Monday Night Football, not last night, but Monday night on Monday Night Football, was held to only 3 receptions for 23 yards against the Minnesota Vikings. And this is after, you know, a lot of comments by his own head coach, even saying he needs to clean up his head, so to speak, and get his head in the right place, and needs to be a little less emotional and whatnot, that he's sort of being a little bit too much of a distraction. And Odell Beckham Jr. has recently in the past week said that he feels he's a target for refs, and that he feels they target him with penalties. So my question to you guys is Odell right that he's getting targeted unfairly by refs?
No, Odell Beckham is weak. He's probably one of the weakest players I've seen in the NFL in all my time of watching it. If you line up against him, we saw what Norman did last year. You can get in his head. When you get in his head,
very easily.
he's so weak. He's not a target. He's just doing dumb stuff. I didn't watch a lot of the game last night, but he said, "Oh, I'll get a penalty for tying my shoe." What? No, you don't know what you don't know what you're talking about, Odell. Just. I don't want anybody like Odell, no matter how talented they are. I don't want him on my team if he's going to be doing this. He's a huge distraction right now. No matter how good you are, get your head right. Don't be doing this.
So when I originally read this question, I thought it meant like other defenses are targeting him, like trying to push him around and get into his head,
Well,
which is
obviously,
true.
yeah.
Which is true. It's
That is
basically the same premise. But defenses are just sitting there like this guy's easy to get inside that head. So, I mean, all you got to do is, like, shove him around just a little bit, play just a little bit more aggressively than you usually do, and he's all over you. He's trying to throw punches, and then all of a sudden...
Trying to headbutt you.
Yeah, he's trying to headbutt you. All of a sudden, you got a 15-yard penalty going the other way, and their offense is facing a 2nd and 25 or something like that. So, I mean, he's definitely a target by defenses. By refs, I don't think so. He's definitely deserving of most of the stuff he's done. But... that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I agree. This is starting to get old. He's 23. You can tell he's immature and he hasn't matured yet. He just got out of LSU a couple years ago. Like, you need to focus on your game. This is the NFL. Mm-hmm. It's time to stop talking about certain guys are targeting me. Just play your game. Yeah. It's time to ball out like you should, like you have the potential to do. He's a great player. But if you keep having all these distractions and bring this to your organization, that's just bad on you. You got to grow up, man.
Like right now, he's a very talented. He's one of the best receivers in the league when he keeps his head cool. When he stays cool, he can be easily a great receiver. What he needs right now is not necessarily like football coaching. He needs like a life coach right now.
Exactly.
He needs somebody to like calm him down on the sidelines. He needs someone to go to after every play. All right, calm him down, because like in the Giants either need to find somebody or try to like. I'm not saying like get rid of him. It's hard to get rid of a guy like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But he can't stay there long term if he's going to be like this. You know,
he
he's
won't.
a distraction to everyone around him. Like even Eli Manning coming out and saying something. Eli Manning's not that vocal of a person.
No.
And for him to come out and say something about,
And usually when he does say
Yeah.
things, it's jokes.
yeah,
He's usually joking around.
but he came out and said, you know, it's your own fault.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, he's got a point. But
He won't be on anybody's football team if he keeps
Yeah.
this up,
I
honestly.
mean, it got so bad that I saw something on my phone
Browns
today
can
from
use
ESPN. It was the NFL's warned referees to make sure that players don't get into his head, to kind of like if they're being a
Yeah.
little too physical, to call him on it. That's pretty bad.
That
That's the
is.
opposite of what he's saying. You're having the referees look out for him, not target him. That's
It's crazy.
I think this is one of those situations that could easily be cured by a change of scenery, like being.
I mean, no one wants to play for
He's
the
not.
Giants.
He's not. The Giants aren't going to cut him. They're not going to
No.
trade him.
Right.
He's too good to be cut or traded. But I really do think he needs a change of scenery. Just something to go off, something to happen that just makes him think, all right, I need to calm down.
Well, I mean, the Giants haven't made the playoffs since they won the Super Bowl. They've been pretty pedestrian ever since then. So
Yeah, so they're
maybe-
definitely not going to get rid of him.
But he is in a big market. That's New York City, the New Jersey
That also
area.
doesn't
So
help.
Yeah, that doesn't
that's
help.
like that's not
He
going to help.
needs-
He has
he
media
needs to
attention
move to a
around
smaller
him
market.
all the time.
Media's always talking about Odell.
It's
And
media central.
Go to Kansas City. Go to Kansas City.
Nobody will talk about it ever
I
again.
was going to say St. Louis, but that's not an option anymore. So.
No, don't go to San Diego. No. no.
I mean, he could still go to St. Louis. He won't find a team there, but
Play for the Cardinals.
All right, guys, moving on to our next topic. We're going to leave the NFL behind now and move on to the college football side of things. And, you know, we all know the big game this weekend, the Clemson-Louisville game, which turned out to be an instant classic. But it was intense. The atmosphere was huge, and it left Death Valley shaking. So, the huge game this weekend. Number 3 Clemson beat number 3 Louisville lost to number 5 Clemson, and we had technical difficulties. So, my question to you guys is, was this game what you thought it would be, and what does this huge victory for Clemson mean for the ACC and the overall college football playoff picture?
I mean, coming into this game, I was like, we might be lucky if this compared to anything like the Notre Dame game. I mean, that was the most hyped game I'd ever been to, and I was like, okay, this might be as good as that, but I'm not sure, probably not. But it outpaced it. It was very similar though. I mean, we had a big lead, we blew it, defensive stand on the other side of the field, and man, that was the loudest I've ever probably been. Loudest place I've ever been in, like ever, maybe. Like that was
in my whole
crazy.
life.
That was insane. That was such a good game. And for the ACC, if Clemson had lost that game, we would probably be out of the playoffs. I mean,
Honestly.
we've seen Florida State crumble over the last few weeks. Winning at Florida State, I don't know. I said Florida before. Florida State, winning at Florida State, and winning the ACC championship game probably would not put us in anyways. So. I mean, obviously, it's good that we won that game.
Yeah, it's very good.
Louisville can still get in if they win out and they beat Houston. They also need obviously Houston to win, and they need us and Florida State to win, so they would have a good loss against us, and then Florida State if they can pick that back up, which I'm not sure if they can do. They're looking pretty bad. Their defense is pretty bad, but that's my take on it.
So this game was kind of nothing what I expected. I expected Louisville to come out right out of the gate, just throwing in Lamar Jackson doing Lamar Jackson things, just not looking pretty in the first half.
Exactly.
But I expected Clemson to keep it close still. But I fully was expecting Louisville win. So I was very surprised where the first quarter was just 0-0. I think that's the most surprising thing
That was
about
big.
that entire game.
Yeah.
The first quarter was 0-0.
And look at the final score.
Yeah. And then Clemson got off. They went off in the second quarter, and it was 28-10 going into halftime. And I was like, oh man, we might actually like
Being Clemson,
we might-
they couldn't hold it.
We might make a
like if we keep going, we can just demolish these guys, and we
Yeah,
can be
no.
number one next week. And we blew it. So Lamar Jackson did Lamar Jackson things.
Yep.
And another thing, I watched the Louisville Florida State game, and I saw Lamar Jackson, and I wasn't very impressed by him in the Florida State game. I heard that.
How not? How are you not?
I wasn't very impressed by him in the Florida State game. And then watching him in the Clemson game, I was like, okay, I am very wrong.
Yep.
He is a very talented player, and he's still got one more year.
Yep, he's still going to be around in the ACC.
At least.
I don't think I was that surprised by the game. The Clemson run defense, they showed up when they needed to. They made the stops when they needed to. Clemson, we all know they're a big game team. We knew they were going to show up, and the way they started this game was really good defensively. But the offense finally picked it up in the second half, and Clemson, they kind of Clemsoned the third quarter because they let them come back. But
We don't allow cursing, Thomas.
excuse me, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. But Clemson, they did what they had to do, and they got a great win. I think they have a chance to run the table, honestly.
Yeah, well, I mean, the hardest game on our schedule was Louisville. Well, and Florida State doesn't look that impressive
No,
anymore,
no,
so
they
that
don't.
game doesn't look anywhere near as.
It's not anywhere as
difficult.
near, but it's still challenging.
Yeah,
Still
it's still challenging.
Florida
I'm not,
State.
I'm not,
It's still a
I'm
big
not saying
game.
it's not going to be,
Yeah.
you know,
But
we're not going to have to try. But
we had a 40% chance to win at the
Yeah.
beginning of the season. Now it's probably around 60 or
60,
65.
yeah.
So it's
And
easier.
as
But
far
not.
as far as the game goes, I expected a score line similar to that, but not in that fashion. I expected just the entire game to be, you know, offensive
back and
shootout,
forth,
back and forth.
and it was more or less a game of runs. You know, this
Yeah.
team runs up X amount of points, this team runs up
Yeah,
Y.
runs and turnovers.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, a lot of
three
it.
consecutive
Really
turnovers.
sloppy.
So many
It was
turnovers.
Really sloppy.
There was
It
a
was a
point,
real
there was a
sloppy
point in the
game, too,
game
yeah.
where there was just turnover. Then the next play is a turnover.
Turnover.
Then the next play is a turnover.
Yep.
Louisville fumbled twice back to back. I was
I
like,
know.
what is going on?
And then we threw a pick straight back to
Exactly.
him. It's like here, it was a little hot potato going on. And
I don't want this. You have it.
no. Deshaun Watson had 5 turnovers by himself.
Had 3 interceptions, but 5 touchdowns. So
So yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane. But Lamar Jackson, he's definitely got my vote for Heisman. To be
definitely,
honest.
he
Oh
is
my
very
gosh.
fast. Actually, this kid has some speed, which I did not notice until I watched the game. But Louisville,
I had heard about his speed.
I heard about
I
it.
saw. I was like,
I
all right,
saw.
yeah, he's pretty.
But
he's
Lamar
got
Jackson,
wheels.
he's
pretty fast.
definitely him and JT Barrett. I think are the front runners for the Heisman.
And then at the end of the game, it was third down. Down at the end.
Yeah.
And he broke Christian Wilkins' tackle. He broke
Yeah.
Ben Boulware's
He just does
tackle.
a spin move
broke
like
another
that.
tackle. Broke five tackles to avoid a sack, which if we got that sack, it probably would have been a lot less
Yeah.
stressful in that final play. But
I mean, I don't know. We gave them they got a false start, and we still made it interesting on that last play. But
And another thing is I'm a huge fan of home field advantage, and that game is a perfect example. of that.
Exactly.
Louisville
Exactly.
was making mistakes. Lamar Jackson was definitely rattled in that first half.
yeah,
Definitely.
two false starts on the first play.
When does that happen?
Took them 3 tries to get the first snap.
Exactly.
Now Lamar Jackson came out in the second half much better. But I don't know how he did that. But that first half, the entire team was just rattled, and they were not expecting what they were expecting.
Definitely.
And then that final play where we got the false start. Crowd's a big deal in
They
college.
are.
Oh,
They
yeah,
are.
definitely.
It's a huge deal,
Especially in Death Valley.
Oh yes.
especially in Death Valley.
Yeah. And that was just one of the huge games we had this past weekend. And this upcoming weekend in college football, we've got a few more really big games. So let's go ahead and take out the whiteboards now. We're going to do some quick pick'ems. And our first one is Texas at number 20, Oklahoma, the good old Red River rivalry. We're being revived this weekend. So what do you guys think? Is this going to be upset for Texas here, or Oklahoma going to start turning things around?
I'll go first. I'm gonna say Oklahoma's going to pull this out. I mean, it's kind of funny. Texas and Oklahoma. I was talking with Josh. They kind of flip-flopped. Oklahoma was unranked last week, and now Texas was ranked. Now Oklahoma's ranked and Texas is unranked, and I think they're both around 20. So this is a big game. Red River rivalry. That's kind of a tongue
Say that
twister.
3 times.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was about to mess that up.
It's a tough.
Baker Mayfield and the entire Sooners team, P. Ryan, they've all been underachieving. I think they need to get a win, and what better game to do it in the than in the Red River rivalry. And I think eventually, I don't think Charlie Strong's going to stay the year. I think he's already on a hot seat. And if Texas's defense keeps looking like a high school team, he's not going to be there very much longer.
So you know how that's a tongue twister?
Yeah.
Well, the name used to be the Red River Shootout. So
Yeah.
that was much easier to
That
say.
is better.
I got Texas. All right, now hear me out. These players love Charlie Strong.
Good pick.
They love Charlie Strong. They know Charlie Strong is on the hot seat now, and they're going to do whatever they can to help him save his job. He's not going to save his job because Texas is going to try to get Tom Herman.
Exactly. If
Not-
he leaves.
But
if he
I
leaves.
I still think Texas got the heart. They got it. Baker Mayfield doesn't really impress me.
Yeah.
Ever. He's never impressed me.
Since the Clemson game, he hasn't impressed
Yeah,
me.
since the Clemson game, he's kind of been
So-
on a downhill.
Going Longhorns.
Yeah, I agree. I go with Texas as well. These kids, like Josh said, they do love Charlie Strong. And similar last year, they were in the same situation. They were like 2-3, and they were on the verge of almost being out of bowl contention. And what do? They show up. They carry off Charlie Strong on the field. I think it's going to happen again. I go with Texas.
I'm going with Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's too good for this Texas team. The way this Texas team has been playing, they're streaky at
Their
best.
defense is terrible.
Yeah, their defense isn't there. I mean, yeah, they're
Reminds
a
me of
high
Notre-
school.
reminds-
They're
reminds
a
me of Notre
Texas
Dame.
high school defense. So they're still pretty decent,
Yeah.
but a high school
This
defense.
game will probably
They're
be
not-
like
yeah.
60-50 or something.
It'll be a
It's
shootout.
It'll be a
definitely
shootout.
going to be
A
a
Red
Red
River shootout.
Yeah. But I think Oklahoma is going to come away at the end of the day. They're too good for the Texas defense.
All right, moving on to our next game up is number 9 Tennessee at number 8 Texas A&M, a good old SEC matchup, and a matchup
gotta love
of
the
two undefeated
SEC.
teams, one of whom probably shouldn't be undefeated at this point, but they've managed to hold it together. So what do you guys think? Tennessee keeps the magic
Tennessee
alive,
right.
or
Spell
does the
Tennessee
luck
right.
finally run out here? Start with Tom this time.
I'm going to go with A&M because the way this Tennessee team has played all year, I can't bring myself to pick them. I mean, still after the, I still can't look past that App State game, and they barely won this weekend. They keep seeing they're pulling things out of the hat, and I think their luck's going to run out. Then this Texas A&M team is too good for them to do that against.
It's another week. It's another week to have a miracle. They're gonna pull out another rabbit out of the hat because Tennessee is gonna win again this week. They remind me just like of the Auburn of 2013,
Oh my God.
where they beat Georgia on a miracle. We all remember the miracle on the plains with Alabama. This team just does not lose. And Butch Jones, you see him crying on the field. They're America's team now. They're a great story. I go with Tennessee.
I want to go with America's team. But all right. I got Tennessee too as well. Texas A&M's defense is really good, but their offense is not impressive at all. And Josh Dobbs, he's not terrible.
Nope. No.
So
not
I've always been saying that Tennessee's overrated, which I still think they are. But I mean they're going to pull this one out. It is at Kyle Field though.
Tough place to
It's
play.
going to be a close one, and game day is going to be there. And since game day is there, Tennessee's definitely going to pull off a miracle because why not?
Again.
Just why not?
I mean, I think A&M's going to win. Like we were all saying, Tennessee has been pulling it out real close. If that Hail Mary should not have happened. If it didn't happen,
Yeah.
which is 99% of all situations except for this one, then they would probably be in the 20s in the rankings, and like they probably should be. I still don't think they're this good. I think eventually their luck's going to run out, like Tom said. It's at College Station, home of the 12th man. Myles Garrett is going to have a game.
Hell yeah.
I don't see Tennessee winning this game.
All right, let's stay in the SEC for this next one. Number 1 Alabama at number 16 Arkansas. What do you guys think? Is this a sleeper upset pick, or is Alabama just going to keep on doing what Bama does? Start with Josh.
We're on a shortage of markers.
This is a good marker, though.
Okay, there's two teams in this entire season that I can see beating Alabama, and that's Arkansas, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Auburn. Arkansas's not winning. Bama, I got Bama. They're going to overpower Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas will probably keep it close because that's what Arkansas does. but it's just going to be Bama. I don't really. Their quarterback, I forgot his name, Jalen Hurts. Yeah,
Yep.
Jalen Hurts. He hasn't been impressing lately.
No, not that
really.
great, not that
But
great.
Alabama hasn't played that well in general lately.
Yeah.
But I still think they squeak it out because Nick Saban.
Exactly. you don't pick against Nick Saban in the big game. I also have Alabama. Jalen Hurts, he needs to step up this week. That's why I said it's going to be a very close game because you cannot sleep on this Arkansas team. They have a really good defense, and their quarterback Austin Allen is very good. If you hadn't seen him play, so Jalen Hurts has to have a big game. I think that's going to be a nice quarterback battle to see.
I'm going with the upset. I'm going with Arkansas because there's not a bone in my body that'll allow me to pick Alabama. Number one, and number two, I think the magic of Alabama is eventually going to run out, and
It's not magic, it's good coaching.
Yes,
It's not magic at all.
This is not
Yes, it
magic.
is.
This is purely scientific.
Anyways, regardless, I think this Arkansas team is like way better than what they may look on, not necessarily like look on paper, but the way they've been playing this year has been impressive, even though they haven't had like the best scores or the best games or anything like that. But I think they have a very good shot to beat Bama. So if Bama slips up a little bit, and I think they might, then I think Arkansas can take it.
I mean, we all know Arkansas is better than they have been in the last 5 years because
definitely.
they haven't been ranked. They're 16, so they are better. I will give you that. But I mean Bama. I hate to pick it. It's boring. We all know Bama's going to win. Bama's like the Patriots of college football. Nick
Exactly.
Saban, Bill Belichick.
That's why everyone hates them.
It
They're boring.
makes me dislike them even more.
They're
Yeah.
just boring.
I mean, all of us would love to see Arkansas win, but
Yeah, I would love
unfortunately,
it.
I don't think it's going to happen.
That's the thing about Bama. They're not even like fun. They're not a fun offense to watch.
No.
They're just really boring to watch, but they still
They do everything.
dominate.
They do everything well.
They still
They
win.
they
and they still
block well.
dominate.
Yeah.
But they're
Everything
super
goes well.
boring to watch. I hate watching Alabama games.
I just don't. Don't watch it. Not good TV.
Let's move on to the ACC now for this one. Number 23, Florida State. At number 10, Miami. Miami, quiet undefeated team. Quiet number 10 has moved up. Florida State, as we've already touched on, has had some issues thus far in the season. So do you think this is where Miami's luck runs out and Florida State rights the ship, or do you think Florida State continues to fumble? Start with Thomas this time.
Well, I really want to pick Miami, but I can't. I have to pick FSU because FSU is not going to lose back-to-back games. Do you see who their coach is? Jimbo Fisher is a really great coach, and Francois, their quarterback, is going to have a much better game. He didn't have that bad of a game against North Carolina. It was their defense couldn't stop North Carolina, but it was a close loss last week. FSU is going to come back and get it together.
Well, I'm going to pick Miami, and for the reason that it was a close loss against UNC. Sorry. What are we going to do against a better Miami team?
I'd say UNC could be better than Miami.
UNC is definitely a good team, but Miami is better than UNC in my eyes, and I think FSU is just on a downward spiral. Their players are going to have lost confidence, and that's never good for a team. So when you have a quarterback who hasn't played that well and is not living up to the expectations, that's going to get inside his own head. So unless Jimbo Fisher can really get that out of his head and get it together, I don't think they're gonna pull this out. I think Miami is too good of a team, and FSU is gonna continue their downward spiral.
I mean, it's not really the quarterback. Francois, like we said, he's not doing that badly. It's more the defense is doing terribly.
Yeah.
The defense
Awful.
is.
That's not
Worst
an FSU defense. Yeah, that's not an
Worst
FSU
Florida
defense.
State
Let me.
defense
All right, I'll
in a
say
long time.
Florida State, like we all say. Jimbo Fisher isn't going to let them lose another game. And you've talked about home field advantage. It does not apply here.
No.
It's at Miami. There's probably going to be
No.
more Florida State fans there. It reminds me
Always
last
is.
year. Last year.
Well,
when,
actually, they might move the game to Orlando.
Oh,
That
yeah.
that doesn't really matter.
No.
But
not at all.
that would be
Still more
closer to Florida
Florida
State.
yeah, it wouldn't really matter. But I'm
closer.
just saying.
But I remember Clemson, Miami last year was hyped up. Miami was pretty decent, and then they lost 58-0. So I'm not saying it's going to be 58-0, but Florida State's going to win.
Let me give you guys a little historical lesson. Every single year, Miami gets ranked, then they play Florida State, get destroyed by Florida State, and then they lose the rest of the year. This year, I think it's different, though. I'm going for the U. Mark Richt is a great coach. He is a great coach.
That is true.
Guaranteed 9 wins. Guaranteed. Brad Kaya, good quarterback.
Great quarterback,
Some
maybe.
people said he
Florida's-
was more pro-ready than Deshaun Watson.
That I don't agree with.
I don't either.
But Brad Kaya, good quarterback. Florida State's defense, awful.
Terrible.
Terrible. So I think Brad Kai is going to throw all over.
Another high school defense.
I think Brad Kai is going to throw all over Florida State, throw all over the Seminoles, and Miami's finally going to beat Florida State for the first time in like 5 years. Jimbo Fisher, he's also a great coach.
Definitely.
Not denying that, but I just don't think Florida State's got it in them because they're out of the ACC now. Like they needed Clemson to win and them to win to even have a chance to make it.
Like what are they playing for now?
So
A bowl game.
Really, they're only they can't even make a New Year's Six bowl because they have 2 losses now and they're probably a little cocky, but I think Clemson's going to beat them, so they're probably going to have at least 3 by the end of the year. Florida, they can beat Florida. Florida's not very good.
Well, welcome to the Sun Bowl, FSU. Welcome to the Sun Bowl.
The Sun Bowl.
I don't think that'd be a given. Beating Florida, I think that'll be a lot closer than it has been recently. Florida's
Well,
not bad.
it's great because you have Florida State's terrible defense versus Florida's terrible offense.
Yeah.
It's going to be
So
awful.
gonna be
which
good.
one's going to break?
It's going to be 3-0.
Terrible.
It's gonna be every other possession you just stop watching.
But I got Miami because also you guys don't realize Miami usually has like the most NFL players ever,
They do.
like out of every school every
That is
year
true.
somehow.
They have
just
great talent.
They just needed a good coach to like use it.
Exactly.
All right, moving on. Like we mentioned earlier, the crazy week of college football we previously had. We saw some amazing, incredible finishes to some games this past weekend. Most notably was UNC's field goal to beat Florida State in the upset. Then we had with the incredible kicker celebration.
What are you doing?
we had.
What
And
is-
then
what
there
was
was the Tennessee Hail Mary that somehow worked, continuing Tennessee's luck. And then we had Clemson's amazing stop on defense there to secure the victory. So my question to you guys is, which of these crazy finishes was better?
I mean, I gotta go with Tennessee. It's the best individual play. I like in my
Mary.
You can't beat a Hail Mary.
You can't.
It's
So-
really hard to beat. I mean, I know the field goal, which would be a close second for me, because that's a long field goal, 54-yard, especially in college, but even in pros, that's a long field goal.
Let's give it up for his celebration.
Yeah.
Let's give it up for him.
But,
Give it
but
up.
Yeah, no, you can't beat a Hail Mary.
So let me just go down the list. So the field goal, honestly, it's really not that. I mean, it's exciting. It was crazy.
Right. Yeah.
It was crazy, but
It's a field goal.
it's kind of generic for crazy finishes. It's a field goal. Game-winning field goals happen every week.
Exactly.
Happens every year. 54-yarders don't happen as much in college, but still, I mean, it's not really that. Hail Marys though.
Yeah.
They
Hail
don't
Marys
happen.
are insane. Clemson's defensive stop. It was very good. It was a very good defensive
Exactly.
effort. That defense played 98 plays before that play. 98.
How do you
I don't
still
know
give
how
the same effort?
I don't know, but I just that was crazy. But I don't think it's crazy as a Hail Mary.
No.
Especially since apparently Tennessee called a timeout because they were going to run like some lateral play
Yeah.
all up down the field.
And Bush
but
Jones
they called
said,
a timeout
no,
and he was
no.
like, "Nah, we're throwing it."
I got
deep.
yeah, exactly.
deep.
I agree with the Tennessee Hail Mary. You can't beat a Hail Mary. It's a Hail Mary. Bush Jones seeing him crying after that on the field, like it's the story that you want to see at the end of the game. It's a story we see at movies. Come on, it's a Hail Mary.
I don't know. I kind of like the field goal though. 54 yards for a college kicker. Some
That
of
is
them
tough.
were missing 20-yarders last week, 30-yarders, 54-yarder. I like
What was
that
it?
one.
By the way,
Michigan's
that-
kicker
that-
missed
that-
3 field goals, all of them under like
Yeah.
40,
40.
45
Yeah.
or something
Yeah,
like that.
and then he made that one. So I like the field goal. Not just me.
I mean, you have your opinion.
I know.
Well, now we're going to move on from football here and move on to something we haven't really talked about much, but baseball. The playoffs have just started last night with the AL wildcard game. Toronto beating Baltimore in a walk-off 3-run home run in the bottom of the 11th inning. The National League wildcard game is happening tonight. New York Mets versus San Francisco Giants. And then the playoffs will kick off with the divisional series starting tomorrow. So what do you guys think about the playoffs here? Which team has the best shot to contend, and what's your prediction? Who's making it to the series, and more importantly, who's taking it all home?
I'm gonna go first. I like the Dodgers. I really do. I like Clayton Kershaw and his pitching. I think that coming out of the NL West, they play tough. They play tough teams that have to battle with the Giants all season. And I like Corey Seager, their shortstop. I think he's probably the best shortstop in the MLB. So I like the Dodgers. I think they're gonna definitely give the Cubs a run for their money. I think they're gonna take it.
The only problem I have with the Dodgers pick is Kershaw hasn't been good in the playoffs ever.
That's true.
Ever.
That's true.
Ever. And I think the Nationals
Why
are a
not?
better team as a unit, and that's kind of important in baseball because you have to have all 9 people hit, including the pitcher. So I think the Nationals have better
National League,
teams, so I think they get by the Dodgers. But my pick for the World Series is the Red Sox. They're in baseball especially hot teams. Whoever's hot going into the playoffs
Definitely.
always makes a run. It's hard to stop someone that's a team that's really hot. And the Red Sox ended the season really well. They were a month ago. They weren't even first in the division, I don't think. And then they ran away with the division at the end of the month. And I don't know that there's a team that could really knock them off in the American League. And I think the World Series between them and the Cubs will be really good, but I think they'll squeak it up.
I think the Cubs. I'm picking them for the World Series. They got Chris Bryant and Rizzo. Like we all know, they haven't won a World Series in 50-something years. I think just like the Cleveland curse was broken, I think the Chicago curse is going to be broken this year.
108 years.
So, all right, I'm gonna go one by one real quick. Dodgers. They have Kershaw.
Yes, they
Kershaw's
do.
not good in the playoffs,
Yes, they do.
though.
Why not now? Why not now?
Because he's got it in his head now. He's all bothered. Baseball's all about mental. It's mental.
It's like the
mostly
Bengals.
mental.
It's like the Bengals.
As Yogi Berra once said, 90% of the game is half mental.
Love Yogi Berra. It's
Good
great,
quote.
by the way. Red Sox. The Red Sox is a good pick. The problem with that is they have the toughest road to the World Series. They got to go through Cleveland Indians first. The Cleveland Indians. Better record. Cleveland Indians. Great pitching. Jason Kipnis. I mean, that's going to be a close series. Probably going to go Game 5.
I think it's definitely going to be a close series. I think it will probably go all 5.
And then,
Red Sox have great pitching too.
in the championship series, they got to play the Blue Jays or the Rangers. Blue Jays,
That's
a
tough.
division opponent.
Toronto is a tough place to play
And Toronto's a tough place to play. They got Josh Donaldson, MVP last year. They got Jose Bautista. He's usually pretty good. He's clutch in the playoffs, especially when it's in Canada. I'm just saying, or they play the Rangers, who are probably I'll go second hottest team in this entire year. Hottest being the Cubs. The Rangers came out of nowhere. Honestly, I wasn't expecting them doing good. They have Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish is always the man. Let's see. Cubs. I like the Cubs. I'm going with the Cubs actually, because I don't see the Giants or the Mets beating the Cubs. I don't see the Dodgers or the Nationals beating the Cubs. I don't see the Nationals beating the Dodgers, first off.
No,
Just want to say
definitely
that. And that's not because I don't like the Nationals. But I definitely got Cubs Indians World Series. Battle of the Seas.
Okay. I like the Indians
gotcha.
pick. I like the Indians pick.
All right, now let's move on to the NBA guys. And our first story up is Chris Bosh. There's been a whole lot of stuff going on with him. He missed a lot of time with blood clots and issues resulting from that. And now he's trying to make his comeback, and there's a lot of medical concerns surrounding him naturally with blood clots being pretty serious. And Pat Riley has recently come out and said that his Heat career is over, and the Heat are now going to pursue every option they can to get him off of the team and move on from Chris Bosh. And the Chris Bosh era in Miami appears to be over. And there's a lot of questions surrounding his career in general. Is that over as well? So that's my question to you guys. Do you think Chris Bosh is done, or do you think he's going to find somewhere else to play and maybe continue it?
I think if he doesn't get another team this year, I think he's done. I don't know that he can come. I think even if he gets a team this year, I think this may be his last year. Because too much of a health, something like blood clots, you don't really want to mess around with it. Because that could have serious consequences for your life. And Chris Bosh is a pretty smart dude. I don't think he's going to try to push too hard, because he's got a family to think about. He seems like a real good guy that he wouldn't want to put his career as way more important than his family. So I think he's either going to get a team this year or he's going to hang it up.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a weird situation. Like, Chris Bosh has his doctors. The Heat had their doctors. The Heat doctors said he wasn't good. Chris Bosh's doctors, I think a few of them said he was good. So it's up to the doctors. If he's not cleared, he cannot play a game. He won't be cleared. But if he's cleared by his people, I definitely think he's made the intention he wants to play.
Yeah.
He obviously thinks he is capable of doing it. I know you can take blood thinners that will wear off before the beginning of the game, so he might try that. I'm not sure how long it's going to last. He probably won't be as good. I don't know how that's also affect his performance, but obviously his time in Miami's done. He was still an All-Star though. He was still playing at All-Star level. So
Definitely.
if he is cleared, teams will definitely go after him. Teams will definitely go after him. So I don't think it's over. I think he's still got a few more years.
I don't think Bosh himself is over, but I think him in the NBA is probably over because I don't think any NBA team is really going to take a chance on it. They're not going to take a chance on that.
Even if he's cleared?
I mean, it's going to be by team doctors. They're not going to listen to anybody but team doctors. If a player's doctor says he's fine, then I mean they're going to be very skeptical of it.
Well,
So,
if he gets
if he gets cleared by a team doctor, then yes, he will definitely make a team.
Will he
I
play
mean,
the same though?
Yeah.
I don't know.
probably not, but I think there's quite a few teams that are like looking to contend that will take him on for a 1-year contract just to try to get that.
I mean, why wouldn't
he's a
you?
championship-winning player. You always need that experience. And you always need that
Like a
ring-holding
David-
veteran.
Even
on your team.
though Zach disagreed with me last week, Bosh is a Hall of Famer.
I agree.
He is
Yeah, I
definitely a
think he's
future
Hall
Hall
of
of Famer. But I think it's time for him to shut it down. Like, you can't keep these health problems going along. He does have a family, like you said.
Yeah.
It's just it's a time when you have to stop. But we know this guy. He has 11 All-Stars, all rookie, like 2-time first All NBA team. Chris Bosh.
2 rings.
I'm telling you,
Most important thing.
Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh.
Ray Allen saved
Chris
LeBron.
Bosh is a future Hall of Famer. I don't care what anybody says.
The thing with Chris Bosh though is I think he's definitely going to try to play again because he seems like the type like he doesn't like with Kobe.
Yeah,
he
he's a
doesn't
fighter.
Want, he
He's
doesn't,
gonna keep
yeah,
going.
He doesn't want to go out on an injury.
Exactly.
He doesn't want to go out being broken.
Right.
He wants to go. He wants to go out playing.
Oh, he's definitely going to try. It's just
Yeah.
the doctors. It's up to
It's
the
all
doctors,
about the
unfortunately.
doctors.
I think he'd love to win another
Come on,
championship.
I mean, I would love to win a championship.
We would all want to win.
I would love for the Atlanta Hawks to win a championship.
It's gonna happen one day.
One day. We gotta get.
I want the
get in
Lakers to have a
first.
good
You gotta
player again.
You got to get to the second round, or the.
Yeah, we gotta make the second round
Not the
first.
second round, the championship.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. It's been a great show. Great week of sports to talk about, and we're going to have another great week coming up for next week as well. So keep tuning in. Wednesdays, 8:30, Tigervision, The Extra Point. It's incredible. It's awesome. By the way, those technical difficulties we had earlier, they're resolved now. That video we really wanted to show you, we're going to show you now to end the show. So please stay tuned. It's great. It's awesome, just like this show, and like you for watching.
I just find the open guy and guys making plays. So that was pretty much my job, is find an open guy.